I wasn't the kind of man who snooped. In fact, if you asked anyone who knew me, they'd say I trusted too easily. That was always my strength and my weakness. So when Emma told me she was going away for her bachelorette weekend, I didn't think twice. She deserved it, I thought. After all, she had spent months stressing about wedding plans, guest lists, flower arrangements, seating charts. I figured a weekend with her closest friends would do her good. The first night she was gone, I sent her a quick text before bed. "Hope you're having fun, love you." She replied with a simple heart emoji. Nothing unusual. But something inside me felt unsettled. Maybe it was just nerves about the wedding, or maybe it was the way she seemed distant the last few weeks. I brushed it off, telling myself not to spiral into paranoia. The weekend passed in a blur of errands and catching up on work. On Sunday evening, Emma came back home glowing with that tired but happy energy of someone who had spent the last 3 days laughing and drinking too much. She kissed me on the cheek, dropped her bag by the door and told me, "Best weekend ever." I believed her. I wanted to. But everything started unraveling a week later. It was a Tuesday night. Emma had gone to bed early, claiming she was exhausted. I stayed up scrolling through emails when my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. At first, I thought it was spam, but curiosity got the better of me. The message was short. "You should see what really happened on her bachelorette trip." Attached was a video file. My hands froze above the screen. For a moment, I debated deleting it without watching. But something deep in my gut urged me on. I pressed play. The video was shaky, obviously taken by someone drunk. Music pounded in the background. I saw Emma, my fiancée, the woman I was supposed to marry in less than a month, dancing on a table, holding a bottle, laughing louder than I'd ever heard her. At first, it seemed harmless. Just a wild night out. But then a man's arm appeared around her waist. Not one of her girlfriends. Not someone I recognized. He pulled her close and she didn't resist. She leaned into him. The video ended there, but it was enough. My stomach dropped. I sat there staring at the screen, numb. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was just a joke. Maybe he was a cousin, a friend, anyone but what it looked like. But no matter how many excuses I tried to invent, the truth was clear. She wasn't acting like someone who was about to marry me. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to her, listening to her slow, steady breathing, while my mind replayed that video over and over. By morning, I knew one thing. Emma had secrets, and I needed to find out exactly how deep they went. The next day, I couldn't look at Emma the same way. She hummed in the kitchen while making coffee, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. I forced a smile, kissed her forehead, and acted like I always did. Inside, though, something had shifted. The woman standing in front of me wasn't my fiancée anymore. She was someone I didn't know, someone capable of betraying me while planning a future with me. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I decided to wait, to watch. If that one video existed, maybe there were more. So I dug carefully. I checked her tagged photos on Instagram, the group stories her friends posted. Most of it was innocent. Cocktail glasses clinking, beach selfies, group shots with matching outfits. But every so often, I'd catch a glimpse of something that didn't sit right. A man's hand in the corner of the frame. An unfamiliar reflection in the background. Pieces of a puzzle no one wanted me to put together. Emma noticed my silence. "Everything okay?" she asked one night, curling up next to me on the couch. "Yeah, just tired from work," I lied. Her eyes lingered on me for a second longer than usual. Then she let it go. 2 days later, I got my second confirmation. Another message from the same unknown number. This time, it was a series of screenshots. Text messages between Emma and someone saved as J. The words made my chest tighten. "Emma. Last weekend was insane. Still can't believe how close we got. J. Same here. Can't stop thinking about you. Wish we had more time. Emma, don't say that. You know my situation. But God, I needed that." I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. There was no misunderstanding this. She had cheated. Maybe once, maybe more. But it didn't matter. The betrayal was real. That night, when she crawled into bed, I lay there stiff as a board. forcing myself not to recoil when she draped her arm over me. She whispered, "Love you," half asleep. The words meant nothing anymore. I thought about confronting her, demanding the truth, but what would that give me? Tears? Excuses? Promises she wouldn't keep? No. If Emma thought she could humiliate me in secret, then I would end things on my own terms. Quietly. Cleanly. So I began my plan. While she shopped for bridesmaid gifts, I opened a new bank account in my name only. While she went dress shopping with her mother, I moved half my savings out of our joint account. I updated passwords, froze the credit card she used, and contacted a lawyer friend of mine for advice, without giving him details. Every step I took was quiet, deliberate, invisible. To Emma, life went on like normal. She talked about wedding menus, seating charts, honeymoon destinations. I nodded at all the right times, smiled when I needed to, and kissed her goodnight. She never suspected a thing. But each time she laughed, each time she brushed her hair back and looked at me like the loyal fiancée she pretended to be, I thought about that video. About those texts. And the silence inside me grew louder, sharper. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of a dramatic fight. I wasn't going to beg for answers. I was going to let her walk straight into the biggest shock of her life. The day of the wedding rehearsal arrived, and Emma was glowing. She floated around the venue, her dress brushing the floor as she greeted guests and fussed over details. To anyone watching, she looked like the happiest bride-to-be. To me, she looked like a stranger. I had already made my decision. Weeks of planning had brought me here. I wasn't going to shout, scream, or expose her in front of everyone. No, Emma's betrayal deserved something colder, something she would never see coming. The night before, I had placed the final piece of my plan into motion. I sent out a small package to her parents, her bridesmaids, and even a few close relatives. Inside was a simple USB drive. On it, the video. The one where she wrapped herself around another man, laughing in a way she hadn't laughed with me in years. Alongside it, screenshots of her texts with Jay. I didn't add a word. The evidence spoke louder than anything I could say. The morning of the wedding, Emma came into my hotel room beaming, clutching her bouquet. Can you believe it? In a few hours, I'll be your wife. I just smiled and said, yeah, hard to believe. By noon, whispers had already started. I noticed her bridesmaids avoiding her eyes, her mother pale and stiff, her father's jaw tight with fury. Emma, caught up in her makeup and hair, hadn't noticed a thing. She thought she was about to step into a perfect fairy tale. Then, just before the ceremony, her phone started buzzing uncontrollably. She frowned, picking it up, and I watched the color drain from her face as message after message came in. Emma? What is this? Tell me it isn't true. You did this before the wedding? Her hands shook as she turned to me. What's going on? She whispered, her voice breaking. I leaned in, close enough that only she could hear, and said, You thought I'd never find out. But I did. And now everyone else knows too. The look in her eyes, shock, fear, devastation, was everything I had waited for. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She stumbled, clutching her phone like it could save her, but it was too late. The truth was already out. I didn't stay for the fallout. While guests began murmuring and Emma's bridesmaids tried to comfort her, I walked out of the venue, my tie loose around my neck, my chest finally unclenching after weeks of silence. The sun hit my face as I stepped outside, and for the first time in a long while, I could breathe. Emma had gambled with our future for one reckless weekend, thinking she'd never be caught. She thought her secret would stay buried in the sand and neon lights of that Bachelorette trip. But one video had changed everything. And now, she was left with nothing but the wreckage she created.